Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with me over the weekend as we went through some of the game and fan reactions. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 teams plus one who had a good weekend, who not so much, who looked better, who's overrated, and well, we're going to get into it right after this. Alright guys, well I'm going to jump right into it. Let's go ahead and start off with the number 12 ranked Notre Dame. This is your plus one game. They were playing against the unranked Boilermakers. Purdue picked Notre Dame to win this game. This game on paper should have been won by Purdue. Purdue dominated time of possession with 35 minutes. Purdue had more first downs. Purdue had more total yards, 348 to 343. So technically close there. But Notre Dame was a little more balanced. Purdue was only able to get up 57 yards in rushing. It just, they threw two interceptions, and that really hurt them. That took them out of the game. Purdue actually was able to strike first. They put a field goal up. Notre Dame came back, got 10 points. After the half, at the end of the third quarter, it was 13-17, so Purdue was still in the game, but they got shut out in the fourth quarter, and that's really where Notre Dame pulled away with the game. Is Notre Dame, in my opinion, a top 10 ranked team? Maybe. That's yet to be seen. It's still a little early. They're 3-0. They're undefeated. But to me, it really seemed like they kind of struggled at times against Purdue. They only put up 16 first downs. Purdue had 19. Their third down efficiency was not very good, 4 for 17. That's less than 25% converting on third down. Just not a dominant performance here. As a top 10 ranked team playing an unranked team, you should be way better at putting this team away early. It's week 3. A lot of the kinks should be worked out. You should be seeing much better performance. So 12 is probably about right for Notre Dame. All right, so now let's jump over to the Auburn Penn State game. This was a great game. This game really kind of came down to the wire. Both teams, while not dominant in any quarter, were pretty consistent. The game was back and forth most of the game. It was within one score most of the game. Anybody could have won this game. If you played this game 10 times, I would probably say Penn State would win it 6, maybe 7, 6.5 times out of 10. I know it's a weird number, but hey, Auburn had more first downs. The total yardage was really close. The time of possession was really close. Number of first downs were pretty much the same. Both teams had turnovers. Turnover that hurt Auburn was right there at the end of the game. I believe it was right at the end of the game. Correction. I think it was a fumble. Penn State threw an interception. Auburn had 2 opportunities to go down there and win this game. Poor clock management, wasting timeouts when you shouldn't have wasted timeouts, in my opinion. Put this game out of reach for Auburn. This was on the road. That stadium was absolutely alive, and that became a factor later in the game. Penn State, they scored a touchdown every single quarter. They did very well. Their completion percentage for Penn State was absolutely phenomenal. Clifford went 28 for 32. Threw for 280 yards. Bo Nix doing what Bo Nix does, 21 for 37. To me, one of the biggest superstars in this game was Tank Bigsby. 23 carries, averaged a little right at 5 or maybe a little over 5 yards per carry, 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. We're used to seeing this out of Auburn, where they basically have one good running back who does the whole thing for them. Tank Bigsby was keeping him in this game. Bo Nix is what cost them the game here. If they'd had a better quarterback, they could have beat Penn State, but Auburn, you're ranked number 22.
Shouldn't have to cost more, which is why Verizon
see here. What in the world is going on?
If you're not a customer, we'll help cover the cost to switch.
I got some noise coming in. Just random noise just popped up for no reason on one of the tabs I have open. Yeah, I can't remember all this stuff, so we have to go through some resources. One of the games, if you really wanted to watch a good game that you should have watched, was the Cincinnati Bearcats. This team is an absolutely dominant team, in my opinion. Ritter came out. He went 20 for 36, which is not a stellar performance. It's around 60% passing. Threw for 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I really think Cincinnati is one elite quarterback away from being a top 5 team at this point. Rushing, this was a grindy game. They were efficient. They spread the ball around. Cincinnati actually had fewer yards, fewer time of possessions, same number of first downs, but the real factor in this game was turnovers. Indiana threw 3 turnovers, threw 3 interceptions, and lost a fumble. When you have 4 turnovers in the game, it's hard to win any game. And if they hadn't done that, they would have had a much better chance. They lost this game by 2 touchdowns, but I think it's something like 75% of the time when you turn the ball over, the opponent scores. So you can take that into consideration. Cincinnati absolutely shut Indiana out in the fourth quarter, leading to a 38-24 victory for Cincinnati. This is a great ball club. I want to see how they do against some stiffer competition versus a 1-2 Indiana Hoosiers. I just think that they're a good ball club, but I don't think they're quite elite yet. But hats off to those guys. You went out and done what you were supposed to do. You were the away team, and you got a 2-score victory. So hats off to Cincinnati. Texas A&M, man, what are you guys doing? So 19 for 33. It's pretty good. I mean, that's right at a 60% completion percentage for Calzada. Trying to bounce back from a stagnant last week. Didn't look as good here as they could have looked. I know they going into the fourth quarter, it was 34-0. They couldn't get anything going. Their quarterback was throwing around 39% completion percentage. Nothing awesome there. Spiller, 15 carries, 117 yards. This guy's a beast. He's averaging about 7 yards a carry for Texas A&M. That guy's going to be a force to be reckoned with. D. Demas, 2 receptions for 100 yards. This guy's a phenom. He's going to be awesome. And they kind of spread the ball around. Team stats. It was really the defense that did a really good job for Texas A&M. They held UNM to 122 yards. Time of possession was pretty much identical. But first downs for Texas A&M, 24. UNM only had 9 the entire game. They just couldn't do anything. Couldn't get the ball moving. Texas A&M puts up 429 yards of total offense. But again, only 34 points. Would have liked to have seen this number at least to 40, if not higher, especially playing an unranked, lower-end New Mexico Lobos team. So Texas A&M at 7. Still not sure about this number. Got some questions. Don't know what they're going to do when they play an elite team. But it is a blowout. Don't get me wrong. But in today's day and age, you really got to be around that 40 mark to get some attention. All right. So now we jump over to the number 6 ranked team, the Clemson Tigers, 14-8 against something called Georgia Tech. What are you doing? Why? How did you allow Georgia Tech to have more overall yardage and offense than you guys did? You gave up a fumble to Georgia Tech. They had more first downs than you did. You guys did a better job of converting on third down, a little over 50% there. But Georgia Tech at one point actually made you guys turn the ball over on downs. How did that happen? That's unacceptable. You guys yards per pass, 5 yards per pass. What happened? You guys used to be like a 17, 18 yard per pass team. Your completion percentage is 18 for 25. That's really good. That's around the 72% mark, but when they're so short, it's terrible. You let Georgia Tech, who just a few years ago was a triple option team, pass almost twice as many yards as you guys did, 203 yards to 126. Not acceptable. They almost matched you guys in rushing, 106 yards rushing and 158 for Clemson, 106 for Georgia Tech. But penalties. 8 penalties for 66 yards, 10 penalties for Georgia Tech for 63 yards. This was driving a struggle bus. Against a team that is 1-2 now. What in the world happened? Not good. Oh, and by the way, you let Georgia Tech get a safety against you. What are you doing, guys? You almost let Georgia Tech come back and win this game. According to the win probability, you guys stayed above the 86%, 82% throughout the entire game. I'm here to tell you that was not the case. You guys were one mistake away from losing this game. One mistake away, and it almost happened. This is not the way that a returning powerhouse team should be playing. You guys should be dominating Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is not better than we thought. It looks like Clemson might be worse than we thought. A lot of concerns here. I'd voiced some concerns at the beginning of the season that Georgia Tech was struggling or would struggle because they lost so much from the offense, and now we seem to be looking at that as the case. That's just terrible. That is terrible. Let's jump over to Iowa. Iowa, man, getting after it. You got Petridis, Expelliarmus, whatever his name is. He beat Victor Crumb. What is going on here? I keep getting this sound popping up, guys. Apologize for that. We can get rid of these real quick. I'm going to close some of this stuff out. It's not needed. Not needed, not necessary, unwanted even. So, Iowa Hawkeyes playing number 5 Kent State. The reason Iowa's ranked number 5 is because they've been so consistent. They beat Iowa State convincingly. They come in here. They should have done a much better job against the Kent State Golden Flashes. Whatever that is, they've got a bird on their helmet or something, but I'm a little bit concerned as to some of the stats I saw here. Third down efficiency, 50%. That's a solid number. Should stay with that. 418 yards total offense. Great. Very balanced. 212 yards passing, 206 yards rushing. You just about can't do any better than that. Completions percentage, 26 out of 37 for Petras. You're looking at that's like a 72, 73% completion percentage. Average yards per pass, 5.7. A little concerning there, but it's nothing they can't fix. Iowa State's not known for being a down the field team. They're known for punching you in the mouth and making you earn every yard, and they really seem to have done that. They went for 418 yards, but they held Kent State to 264. They did lose a fumble, but that's okay. They absolutely dominated on the possession, 36 minutes to 23 minutes. They did whatever they wanted to in this game, control the game the whole way. The game was never in doubt. After the first quarter, Iowa got it ironed out, and Kent never saw even the field goal posts again. Did a great job. So, hats off to Iowa. I'm big on Iowa this year. I was big on Iowa at the beginning of the year. I picked Iowa to win every week. And so far, we've been right. Now we start jumping into the top teams that played last week. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Oklahoma versus Nebraska Cornhuskers. The number 3 Oklahoma versus the number 10,000 Nebraska Cornhuskers. I'm not a Nebraska fan, but I'm going to tell you right now, there were times when Martinez looked really good in this game. And when I mean good, I mean he looked really good. This guy was scrambling. He was picking up first downs. He was doing a great job. If Nebraska had some type of rushing game, they probably could have won this game. Martinez went for almost 80% in this game. He threw for 78% for 289 yards. A little over 6 yards per pass, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Listen, this guy looked really good. I don't like him just because he plays for Nebraska, but I got to give props where props is due. He did a really good job. He basically single-handedly kept this team in the game. Defense. What happened to Oklahoma? Nebraska putting up 384 yards on you. That is unacceptable and embarrassing. If they would have had any kind of rushing game, they probably could have beat you guys. This game kind of came down to the wire. Oklahoma easily could have lost this game, in my opinion. Number 3 ranked team should not be scrounging around with just 7 points over Nebraska. What are you doing? You had 21 first downs. Your third down efficiency is a little better than 50%, so that's pretty good. But you let Nebraska have almost 50% completion percentage. Conversion on third down. It's terrible. Not good. Yards per pass for Nebraska was 11.5. You guys are hanging around 6.3. Spencer Rattler threw for 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 24 for 34. Again, that's around 70%. The completion percentage was good. Passes was too short. Got to do better downfield. You guys ran the ball really well. 194, very balanced game. 194 rushing to 214 yards passing. Looked good. Both teams around the same amount, 70 yards worth of penalties. But Nebraska dominated the clock. 25 minutes of possession to 18 minutes of possession. This is unreal. Unreal. Nebraska, you better fix. Oklahoma, you better fix yourself quick, or you're going to find yourself losing to a team you shouldn't lose to, maybe even Texas, and you guys are going to be knocked out of contention here. If you're going to come play in the SEC, you got to fix this. This is terrible. This is terrible. Unacceptable, Oklahoma. Power going to slide down in some rankings, in my opinion. Okay, now let's jump over and talk about Georgia versus South Carolina. Shame, Cox, yeah, terrible and whatnot. Also, in addition to that, Uncle Lou knows what I mean. All right, what you're looking at here is a Georgia team. Played JT Daniels, made some mistakes. JT Daniels played pretty solid. He was around a 70% completion percentage, threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Georgia rushed for 184 yards. Georgia put up nearly 500 yards of offense. They were 9 yards away from 500 yards of offense against South Carolina. South Carolina put up 296. This kid, El Dottie, even though he wasn't the starting quarterback got injured, did pretty well, I thought. He threw for around 60, I think it was actually he threw around 50%, but he did put up 153 yards. A couple of those come off of long passes. We had some one-on-one beats. We got beat down the field on some of this stuff. South Carolina, a couple of field goals in the beginning and a trash touchdown in the fourth quarter to try and I don't know what they were doing. Georgia's offense, we put in the fourth-string quarterback, I guess in the fourth quarter, didn't do really well there, didn't produce any points. But Georgia had this game 40-6 going into the fourth quarter. Game was put away. Georgia put in some backups and some water boys just to see what they could do, give them some opportunity to play. The game easily could have been a 50 points or better. Georgia easily would have covered the spread if we hadn't got that trash touchdown at the end. Georgia had some great stops during this game. But Georgia, we got some stuff to fix, guys. Can't let the possession ever go to South Carolina. Around 32 minutes to 28 against Georgia. Not too bad, but definitely need to fix. Georgia's third down efficiency is absolutely incredible. 75% on third down conversion rate. 75%. No other team had anywhere near that high. Georgia had 26 first downs. South Carolina had 13. That averages about 3 a quarter, excuse me. But we let South Carolina convert over 50% of their third down, so we have some work to do there. Georgia, 307 yards through the air. 4 of those yards, I believe, came from Stetson right after he threw an interception. Georgia, terrible job on maintaining possession of the ball. 3 turnovers, 1 fumble, 2 interceptions, 1 from both quarterbacks. Not good. Georgia averaged almost 6 yards a rush, which is a solid number. 31 rush attempts for 184 yards. 184 yards, pretty solid. We'll take that. I thought we would have broke 200, but hey, it is what it is. Average yards per pass, 8.8 yards per pass, which is solid. We need more of that. And yards per pass for South Carolina, 7.1. Definitely did a good job on first downs. Definitely did a good job on passing and touchdowns and all this other fun stuff, but definitely found that we have some areas to clean up. Georgia's defense is probably the best it's ever been. So, scary good defense. Georgia ranked number 2. Now we're going to jump over and talk about the Alabama versus Florida Gators. Alabama's got some work to do, guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They did win the game. This game could have been lost by Alabama. This game easily could have been lost by Alabama. Bryce Young throwing around 63% is not impressive. You got Emory Jones throwing around the same. Not that impressive. Now, Bryce Young threw for 240 yards, averaging 6.9 yards a pass, which is pretty good. Didn't throw any interceptions, very efficient, but they could not run the ball. Brian Robinson went 15 carries for 78 yards. That's about 6 yards a carry. but just for whatever reason, overall their ratings, they ran the ball 28 times and they averaged 3.3 yards a carry. That does not sound like a traditional Alabama team. Alabama's always been able to move people and run up and down the field as they want to. There were times when Bryce Young looked a little out of sorts, but he threw for 3 touchdowns. But man, if you watch this game was pretty much just an odd game to watch. Now, somehow Florida put up 440 yards of offense against Alabama. Alabama should have killed Florida. This is a win, but this is not a pretty win. This was not a pretty win. Now, Alabama outpassed Florida by about 50 yards or so, but Florida, man, they rushed for 245 yards against Alabama. Now, if you would, nobody would have thought that Florida would have ran the ball more than they passed it. Well, they did by 50 yards. Now, what helped Alabama was third down conversion ratio. Only 33% for Florida and a little bit better than 50% for Alabama. That's really what saved them in this game. Florida dominated the clock. Well, I won't say dominated. It was about even. 32 minutes to 28 minutes. Florida had 26 first downs to 19. 440 yards to 331 yards. This does not look like a traditional Alabama dominant football team. Last year, they would go in, they would play a number 11 ranked team and just absolutely destroy them. Yeah, I get that, there's a recovery year. I think that what we're seeing here is that this Alabama team is not as dominant as they have been in the past. And for you Alabama fans, going to jump down in the comment section and say I'm talking a bunch of smack about Alabama. Guys, it's 31-19. 31-19. That's not a dominant performance. That's hanging on and winning by the skin of your teeth. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to jump into the schedule. I'm going to pull up the schedule for last year. This is the schedule for last year. At no point during last year did any team end the game within 2 points. The closest one was Florida with 6 points. They went undefeated last year. The closest team was still 6 points away, and that was Florida. Florida was way better last year. There was significant drop-off at Florida. My question is how much drop-off are we now seeing in Alabama? We've seen significant drop-off at Clemson. We should have seen significant drop-off at Florida, and it looks like we're seeing significant drop-off at Alabama. I have no doubt Nick Saban is going to get this fixed. I guarantee you next week will be an absolutely dominant performance, but I'm telling you right now, looking at what I see this week, that was not good. Now, for all you Georgia fans and all you other fans that jump out here and say that Georgia should leapfrog Alabama, no. Georgia dominated a South Carolina, an SEC opponent, but it was a unranked South Carolina team. Unranked. Alabama went out here and beat an 11-ranked Florida Gator team. Barely. So, no, they're not going to slide down. 44 points against against a not top ranked, 44-13 against at the time, number ranked 14 Miami. Miami's probably not going to be ranked anymore after this week, so that win doesn't look good. Michigan Sparties went out there and just worked over the Miami Hurricanes. They barely beat out an App State. They easily could have lost that game. Miami could be 0-3 right now. So that first win doesn't look good. It's a win, but it doesn't look good. It looks like Mercer and Miami are about the same. This win over Florida might be the real litmus test. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in October when they play Ole Miss, and then we have Texas A&M right after that. That's going to be really interesting, and then they round their season off with an Arkansas and an Auburn. So really interesting. We see what happens. I'm sure Nick Saban will get it turned around, but if he doesn't, I could see Ole Miss winning this game. I could see Texas A&M winning a game. I could even see Arkansas, if they play like they did against Texas, winning this game. And Auburn was in a fist fight to the end against Penn State. That could be a really interesting game as well. So, well, guys, that's pretty much the breakdown for the top 10 teams plus one this week. Really appreciate you guys being here. I always enjoy sharing my, kind of what I see with you guys. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. There's a comment button down there. Hit that. Also, go check out the merchandise merchandise store. There's a PayPal link hanging around somewhere if you want to support the channel. Really appreciate you guys. If there's another game you guys want me to break down, let me know. We'll get it out to you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. You guys have a great day. God bless. Go Dogs.